Hey guys, this is Zebra Girl, and today I am very sorry to say, but this is going to be the last episode of Static and Love. But hopefully, not the end of the adventure for our heroes. But who knows? Today I'll be reading chapter 12, the final chapter, called The Unwanted Guest, again. You were fast asleep when you heard a massive bang and the puppies began to bark. You woke up straight away, and so did Dark. You quickly opened the door, and so did Mark, Lucas, and Scarlet. What was that, Mom? Stay in your room and don't come out unless I say so. Lucas nodded and he closed the door. Mark walked out of his room and closed the door, and so did you and Dark. You opened the corridor to see the front door had been blasted through, and you walked through into the living room. You turned to Mark and Dark, who were still in the shadows, and mouthed to them, "Stay there, please." They both nodded their heads and stayed by the door. You stood in the middle of the living room, and you felt you were being watched. You started to hear a giggle. "Where are you?" "Behind you." You slowly turned to see Wilfred sitting in the corner of the room. He looked out of breath and bruised, as his clothes had rips in them and his hair was rather messy. He smiled at you. "What do you want, Wilfred?" He stood up and slowly walked towards you. You felt like something bad was going to happen, so you made your wings come out, and your heart started to beat quickly. "No need to start a fight, is there? I feel your heart, you know, because you have half of my power." He walked behind you and stood near the door. "You might as well come out. I know you're there." Mark and Dark slowly walked out and stood by you. Dark made his wings come out as well. Wilfred started to laugh. "You have done something to me, and I want to go back to normal." He made his wings come out, but they were not the wings that you saw in your visions when you saw him. They were bat-like, with swirls in them, like Scarlet's. "Whatever you have done to me, turn me back." Mark then walked forward a bit. "You caused this, Wilfred, not us." "Yes, you used to be an angel, but then you turned into something darker. You just went crazy. You began to like war and murder. You are now a creature of chaos, and you have been for a long time." Wilfred just smiled. Mark, always the smart one and always the one who read his books. He put his wings away and went over and smacked Mark across the face, causing him to hit the floor and become unconscious. "Mark!" "I don't think so." He pointed his gun at him and said, "One more step and he will die. Do you understand?" You nodded your head, and then he turns his head to the corridor. "Where is that child? I need to have a word with him for putting me in that cage." "They are both asleep," Dark said with confidence. Wilfred turned to you and Dark. "So, you both had another child. So sweet. Mind if I meet them?" He starts to walk towards the corridor when you quickly run to it, blocking his way. "You will stay away from them. They have nothing to do with this." Wilfred looked at you and he slowly put his face closer to yours. "I guess not." Then he walked away to Dark and they continued to talk. Meanwhile, in Lucas's room. "What do you think is going on?" Lucas hugged Scarlet. "I don't know, Scarlet, but Mom told us to stay here." Scarlet stood up and walked to the door, and Lucas quickly stood up. "What are you doing?" I'm just having a peek, that's all. She quietly opens the door a bit, and she saw him. The man Mom described some time ago. Scarlett's real dad. She closed the door and sat on the floor. Well, what's going on? Scarlett stayed silent. Lucas walked over and kneeled down to Scarlett. What's wrong? Wolfred is out there. Lucas's eyes widened in worry. Hey, it'll be okay. Mom, Dad, and Mark will... Mark is on the floor. Bleeding, I think. I think he hurt him. Lucas then slowly opened the door to see Mark was on the floor. But then he saw Wolfred punch his dad across the face. Stay here, please, Scarlett. She nodded as he opened the door fully and ran into the living room. Wolfred looked over at him and smiled. Why, hello, nephew. Lucas looked at Wolfred with anger. You're no uncle of mine. Lucas helped Dark up and he smiled. Now I can kill the whole family, can't I? You sighed as you looked at Dark as he was bleeding, and you look at Mark on the floor. You step forward and look at Wolfred. Don't hurt them, Wolfred. We are your family. He then looked at you with anger, only to hit you. I have no family. Dark was about to help, when Lucas grabbed his hand and said, Let Mom do this. Dark looked at Lucas with concerned eyes and agreed. He stood up with blood coming from his nose. You stood up with blood coming from your nose, and you made your wings go away. Yes, you do have a family. You have 2 brothers, a nephew, and a friend. Wolfred begins to start shaking in fear. Then he laughs. The world is full of murder and war. I have never had a family, and I never will. Then Dark began to talk. Wolfred, you're scared to accept that you do have a family. Can't you remember when we were younger? We used to play together in the park and make pillow forts. Don't you remember that? Wolfred then begins to shake again. I remember. In Wolfred's flashback, he saw him, Mark, and Dark playing in the park, making sandcastles. Mine's the best, the young Wolfred said. No, mine is. No, mine is the best, said the young Mark and Dark. Then they began to laugh as they ran to the swings and got on. Whoever swings the highest is the winner, Wolfred said as they laughed, trying to get higher and higher. Then Mark went the highest as they got off. I win! Nice one, Mark. Yeah, that was so much fun. Then their aunt called them to come inside. They ran to their room, and as soon as they reached their room, they made a massive fort. I'm the king of this fort, Wolfred shouted, as Mark and Dark wrestled him to the ground and started tickling him. No tickles! Then Wolfred starts to tickle them, then the flashback ends. He has a tear running down his face. Then he points the gun. Then he points the gun at Dark. That was in the past, and it doesn't matter if it's in the past. You do have a family, and we still love you. We can do those things again. No, we can't! Wolfred shouts as he starts to cry. Wilfred, Mark said as he struggled to stand up. You are my brother, and nothing would change that. Even if you're crazy or a murderer, you changed from being a kind and caring person to to this. Shut up! Shut up! He shot his gun three times at Mark. He closed his eyes, only for him to open them to be stuck in a force field. You slowly made your way to the corridor to see Scarlet standing there making a force field. You reached your hand out. And she slowly made her way to you. Wilfred turned to see what you were doing and he pointed his gun at you. What are you doing? You smiled at him as you moved your hand forward and he saw a child's hand. He couldn't see the child at all as it was too dark. Oh, is this the other child of yours and Dark's? He said, shaking. You sighed. No, this isn't Dark's child. Scarlet moved into the moonlight. This is your daughter, Scarlet. She opened her eyes and she stood behind you as she was scared. Don't bullshit me, Molly. She isn't my daughter. Scarlet let go of your hand and walked in front of you to reveal more of herself. She looked up at Wilfred and her swirly eye. He backed away and tripped and landed on his butt. What's wrong with her eye? He said in panic. Scarlet slowly walked towards Wilfred. My eye shows my powers that I have. Chaos powers. She then made her bat wings appear, trying to prove to Wilfred that she was his daughter. My wings are like yours, Dad. She then puts them away as he stares at her in disbelief. I know what you did to Mom. You hurt her, and through that, I was made. I kept myself hidden as I saw through her eyes that you were not nice. He sat up and crossed his legs, and Scarlet sat down as well. I can even prove that I have chaos powers. She held out her hand and a pink ball started to form and slowly turn into an egg. Then a pink chick with two heads hatched from it, which made Scarlet giggle, and Wilfred giggled too, and then she made the chick disappear. Does this convince you, Dad? Wilfred stands up and walks to everyone. I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused you all, especially you, Molly. And Scarlet walks over walks over to Wilfred and tugs on his top. He turns and kneels down to Scarlet and hugs her, and she hugs him back. I'm sorry for what I have done, Scarlet. I hope that you can forgive me. I forgive you, Dad. I really do. He then kissed her on the forehead, then looked at her hair and laughed. Your hair is just like my moustache colour. Scarlet put one of her fingers and stroked his moustache, making him sneeze. Scarlet laughed. Did that tickle? Yeah, it did, Scarlet. Then he stood up again and a purple portal appeared. I think it's my time to go. Can't you stay, Dad? He looked at Scarlet with sad eyes. I am not a part of this world anymore, Scarlet, and if I stay here for too long, then I will die. Wilfred, you can stay here in this world with everyone. All you have to do is drink a bit of Mark's blood to be connected to him again. Like Dark is. Some of my blood. He shook his head. I want to be able to travel everywhere. I want to keep the way I am, and I want to rule my world. Scarlet then began to cry. Then Wilfred put his hand on his face and wiped away the tears. Don't cry, my little baby. I promise I will visit. I will visit again. Then she hugged him once more. He walked to the portal and looked back and smiled, and Scarlet says, "I love you." Wolfred then says, "I love you too." He walks through the portal and disappears, and then you hug Scarlet as she began to cry again. Is he really gone? He said that he would come back soon, so please, keep his word with you. Mark, Dark, and Lucas all smiled and joined in the hug of everyone. Then Mark said, "No need to be sad, okay, Scarlet? Everything will be okay." "Yes, Uncle Mark." Then Dark asked, "Are you happy that you saw him, Scarlet?" "Yes, Dad. Yes, I am. I was scared at first, but then I became excited." Then you asked, "Yeah, would you like to see him again?" "Yeah, if that's okay." Uncle Wilfred isn't that bad when you get to know him. Then you all sat on the sofa, turned on TV, and started to play games way into the night until the sun came up, and it was another happy day. Thank you guys for being on this nice adventure with me. I know I only did this once a week, but I kept my word and did it, and I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this journey that we have gone through. Next week I'll be starting a new story, and it is a Darkiplier story, and it is called My New Toy. Now, My New Toy will probably be longer than this one, or it will be a bit shorter, because it's not done on Wattpad. I've written it myself on pen and paper. So, I hope you enjoyed this journey of Static and Love, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!